face. You're watching PureGrainAudio. Wait, this? No, over here. No, this way. And then close. Oh.
Absolutely, every day is a trip, you know? It's crazy it's been so long, you know, it's 15 years, so, you know, we don't really look back too often, we kind of just keep going forward, and yeah, here we are, 6 records deep. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's been awesome. I've seen so many places, played a bunch of awesome shows, and got to work with some pretty great producers and writers, and these guys are all right too. Good. Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, I grew up watching these two jam in my basement when I was like 12, and I've always looked up to this band, and then to get the call to join and to sing for them was like the best thing that's happened.
Well, we actually were towards the end of the last big run we were doing overseas. I guess we were like East Europe and Russia. It was last July, and we were, you know, we spent a lot of time in a European tour bus, which is actually a little smaller than the North American tour buses. It's a double-decker, but you can't quite stand up at the top, so you're forced to kind of hunt down, or in our case, like, you know, sit down in the front lounge. And we just kind of, that's where we started being inspired on, I think, just the big picture. We knew we were like going to be coming back and starting an album, and it started in the front of the double-decker bus, like through East Europe, yeah.
I got to hold some pads and get some pointers from him on how to punch and kick. Super cool, super nice guy, but then we saw him fight in Toronto, and we didn't really know it, but he was like the hometown boy when UFC came to Toronto. But then totally nice guy, and then I looked at some footage of his fights, and I saw he broke this dude's jaw on the ground, and like it's so crazy how somebody can be such a nice person and then just like beat the shit out of somebody.
You know, I think Mountain does set the tone for what's to be expected for the rest of the album. You know, I think there's a lot of depth musically on Outsider. You know, just like with the rest of our records, we've never shied away from experimenting with different, you know, sounds and creating different scenes, and sort of just keeping like a no rules type of thing in the studio. And you know, Mountain, I think, has a lot of energy, and despite the fact there are a lot of like dark lyrics in Mountain, there is, I think, the overlying message is hopeful. Mountain is basically about, you know, waking up and realizing that your own reality is what you have to face, and you don't really have a choice. It's do or die, and that's different for everyone. You know, for some people that's striving to reach the top. For some people that's just like having the courage to wake up and try to deal with whatever they got going on. You know, and we felt like making just a high energy video for that song. You know, and you know, I think after seeing MISHA fight and spar, I guess not spar, but kind of, you know, that guy has like worked really hard to get to where he's at. So,
and for being a fighter and skateboarding and basketball, just at all that, some days are not going to be good, and you're going to fail at, like, you're not going to get that 3-pointer, like you're going to lose fights, and to come back from that, like. And come back and fight and, you know, win. I think that's about the Mountain too, and just overcoming that and getting by.
It's an analogy for any walk of life, any situation in life. The thing is, I think the outsider concept, which is a common thread through a lot of the songs on this album, it really touches on us being kind of just wanting to remove ourselves from everyday chaos and influencers around us, and the way that you're just so close to people and sensory overload, and so I don't know that I don't know that the mountain per se was what kind of struck that chord in us, but it was more of just wanting to escape and wanting to kind of just get a good safe distance away from all the chaos for a minute. And I think that started like, that was kind of how we felt when we came off tour, and that just continued. That's why we wrote the record in isolation and wrote the record about isolation.
But definitely with the mountain, like every day you face a new obstacle you need to get over, and some days are going to be worse than others, but just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
We're extremely blown away by it. We don't focus too much on statistics and quantifying this journey we're on, but at the end of the day, that does mean that like fans called in the radio stations and fans wanted to hear the songs over and over again over the course of our career, which is like coming in on 15 years as a signed band. So is it amazing? Does it blow us away? Absolutely yes. And do we take it for granted? Never. Yeah, and we have the fans to thank.
Yeah, we actually, we had a space down at Front Sherbourne in Toronto at the rehearsal factory, and we were there for, God, we did every record there since the beginning.
Front Sherbourne?
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about earlier when we went over to, we had to furnish the place.
Yeah, so we went to the Salvation Army, right?
We borrowed a flatbed, like a flatbed roller with casters from the rehearsal space at Front Sherbourne.
Yeah.
Wheeled it over to the, was it the Thrift?
It was Thrift.
Thrift, what do they call that? What's the downtown Toronto? Help me out here. Over by where Zombie used to be. Is it Thrift?
Was it Salvation Army? No, it wasn't. It was a thrift store.
What do they call that thing?
Value Village.
Value Village!
Yeah.
But also pronounced Valui Village. We went, so we wheeled a flatbed over to Valui Village and went to their furnishing section and said, we'll take that couch, that painting, that lamp, that piece of art, and that chair, loaded it onto down the elevator. I think we got it all for about like $75.
Yeah.
Loaded it onto the rehearsal space owned flatbed, wheeled it back, furnished our rehearsal space at Front Sherbourne in Toronto, and then stayed there for over a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. At least
and he slept on the couch often.
I've been on that couch a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, we got rid of that place. And,
Not there yet.
Moving on.
and we went, we started out at my house. I have a big garage with a big loft upstairs, and we converted that into a bit of a studio and jam space. And yeah, it's pretty isolated. Like there's, I live on 19 acres, and, not too many neighbors around, and lots of deer and wildlife. And Neil has 80 acres about 10 minutes down the road, and Matt has a place close by, and so it's definitely isolated.
And then for recording the album, we wanted to do the same thing, so we went to Jukasa, which is just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. It's about 40 minutes outside, and beautiful studio, beautiful place.
Yeah, it has a huge influence on the process. We're, especially, but the thing is, we've been on a bus together, like this close to each other for a number of years. So we had to take a little bit of a break, but yeah, being able to kind of have some downtime and decompress and not be in an environment of distractions was a big part of, making this record. And we wanted to take our time and not have to drive, not have to be.
Commuting every day.
Yeah.
And you can make a lot of fucking noise out there too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's nice when you go over to Europe, I guess,
Yeah,
They'd definitely be recognized over there as Canadians.
One of the great things, one good thing about modern social media is that it breaks down the borders of music sharing and sort of it's put a lot of power back in the hands of the music fans to share what they like, right? It's like if a lot of, if a bunch of people don't like something, it's not likely to propagate beyond whatever, and reciprocally, our, music that people want to share, just all of a sudden we'll be in Siberia, we'll be East Russia, in this town where nobody speaks English, but we've sold out a venue and they sing every single year to every single 3 Days Grace song we play, which is like that's crazy to us, man.
Yeah, that never existed.
No.
Well, we had never been to Siberia before, but I'm pretty sure they didn't know our shit.
No, that's right. Yeah. I think when we started the band, it was MySpace was the hot thing.
Yeah.
ICQ, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
ICQ.
MSN.
You don't know what ICQ is.
We did a cool thing last tour in Europe. We did let the fans vote. So yeah, we just like what songs you want to hear, and then we just put them into our set list, which is something we haven't done in a long time. So that was really cool. And we like to play older, stuff that people don't expect, and always trying to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans do want to hear this song, but it's actually a lot of fans want to hear the deep track B-roll, B stuff that we never play. I think more and more fans are going to look into that. I mean. Yeah. We hope, because we're playing nothing but B stuff.
Yeah, B sides.
However, having said that, if I go to a concert and, there's obvious songs that I want to hear, right? It's, I think when an artist goes and plays like all their unknown stuff, it's a little self-indulgent.
Like we grew up in a small town, so right outside of Peterborough, and Peterborough had the first thing, it's a classic rock station that's there, but they had the alternative route, which was like
the alternate route.
The alternate route. Yeah. So they had all the newest grunge, and
Marilyn Manson, Finger 11.
Yeah, and we used to listen to that every night, and I remember just trying to play those songs, and try to learn them, and I think that's kind of how we learned songwriting, So I would say the 90s, 90s grunge was definitely probably one of the main influences for me, anyways. So
actually, we have some pretty big festivals coming up in May. We're actually playing with it's my favorite band ever, Tool. We're on the same festival with them, and then Perfect Circle actually on the same festival. Mm-hmm. Maynard, I'm like the biggest Tool fan. I'm gonna be geeking out that weekend for sure. And then we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff that's in the works but not announced. But we're looking at Canada, and we're gonna be, really doing a full-on Canadian tour. Mm-hmm. As Canadians, it's the best place to tour because it just feels like at home, and you can relate to everybody, and you look out in the crowd and just feel like one of them.
Yep.
We were messing around with Sober.
Yeah, in the middle of home, we'd break down and do a bit of Sober.
Yeah. That was
gotta be careful with Tool. Tool's a little sacred.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's the greatest. Talk about four guys that are amazing. It's Tool sounds huge when you hear them, when you listen to the records. It's bass, guitar, vocals, drums. Just massive.
Simple.
And then we did that thing before World So Cold for a while too. That
you were singing
Parabola.
Parabola.
Yeah.
I have the memory of a goldfish right now. I can't give me a date and a time. I was definitely probably there.
Yeah, we did it for about.
I was there.
We did it up for about a year and a half.
Yeah, it was a full tour. Yeah.
18 months. Full 18 months. Yeah. No way.